First take ended up getting a little feisty, if you will. It wasn't necessarily crazy, but...
When Stephen A. Smith brought up Olivia Miles' decision to attend college rather than play professionally, he infuriated the WNBA players by pointing out that she would earn more money through nil deals than Caitlin Clark's $76,000 rookie pay. This heated argument turned the First Take studio into a battlefield.
They were getting a little back and forth going about the CBA and Olivia Miles not actually declaring to go into the WNBA just yet.
A female co-host insisted that they invite a woman to discuss why it is unfair to compare the earnings of the WNBA and NBA. Stephen, by the conclusion, viewers had seen the intricate financial reality underlying women's basketball, a story with intricacies that go well beyond what most fans comprehend. While A reacted with revenue generation figures, and Shannon Sharpe cautioned against striking without leverage.
Olivia Miles, let's understand what's going on. This is about money, Janae. Now, she had a career year averaging over 15 points, shoot 48% from the field and all this other stuff. We got to look at two things. We got to look at the money that Shannon brought up in NIL compared to what's existing in the WNBA.
On his First Take, Stephen A. Smith dropped a bombshell that has basketball fans worldwide buzzing. Can you blame Olivia Miles for not jumping to the WNBA right now? The financial reality Stephen A. revealed is shocking for anyone who believed that the best women's basketball players were taking advantage of their position.
Clark last year made $76,535 in the first year of her contract.
Wait, say that again, how much?
$76,535. Obviously, she made considerably more off the court. This is on the court, her WNBA obligation.
Yeah.
Last year, Caitlin Clark earned $76,535,000 in her first year of her deal. Wait, what? How much was that again? Obviously, she made a lot more money off the court than she did on it. This is her WNBA commitment. Let's take a moment to discuss the numbers. The math just doesn't add up for elite players looking to maximize their earnings. In her rookie season with Indiana, Caitlin Clark, arguably the biggest name in women's basketball right now, is making just $76,535, which is comparable to what a junior marketing associate might make in Chicago or New York, barely enough to cover rent in those cities. Meanwhile, college stars with strong nil deals are potentially earning six figures while still on campus.
And we also got to look at Notre Dame and what's going on there that you can't get what you want from that school, from that institution. What's the problem there? You're producing for them. You're a commodity and an asset to them. Why do you have to entertain departing for another school or the WNBA when you consider what Notre Dame has the ability?
Stephen A. noted that Miles is making a strategic business choice by remaining in college, allowing her to continue developing her brand, boost her visibility, and take advantage of those nil opportunities that could significantly exceed her earnings as a WNBA rookie. This shows astute career planning centered on financial security. The timing is perfect because the current WNBA collective bargaining agreement contains a crucial opt-out clause after the 2025 season. As a result, players and agents are positioning themselves for Miles to enter the draft in 2026 rather than now, which could mean the difference between long-term success and financial hardship.
WNBA Players Association chose to opt out of their current collective bargaining agreement at the end of the 2025 season. Lottery picks in 2025 will make $78,831 in their first season, $348,198 over the course of their 4-year deal.
Imagine a novice attempting to make ends meet in Los Angeles on $78,300 after taxes, rent, transportation, and other essentials. Almost nothing remains for emergencies or savings. Athletes are forced to make tough decisions regarding their professions because many of them wind up taking on second jobs during the off-season in order to make ends meet. The way that current WNBA players are handling their contracts is telling. Instead of committing to long-term contracts, many veterans are accepting one-year agreements in the hopes that the 2026 CBA will result in a significant pay raise. They are sacrificing short-term stability in the hopes of earning a larger payout.
Actually, more dollars projected to be available to her. So she could, as Shannon pointed out, be looking to go back to college with an NIL deal that's going to get her more money, wait to go into the WNBA draft, and position herself to sign for exponentially more than she would be able to if she entered this WNBA draft.
A deeper problem is highlighted by the WNBA Draft Miles alternative strategy of maximizing college nil earnings now and joining the WNBA later when the financial situation improves, so she can enjoy stardom and endorsements in college and possibly earn more under a new league agreement. In contrast to NBA rookies who land life-altering contracts, elite female athletes frequently make more money in college than as professionals. WNBA rookies occasionally require second jobs. This fiscal disparity was revealed by Stephen A. Smith, which sparked discussion over the WNBA's financial future.
I'd like to know the comparison between the NBA, what they're bringing in, and the players.
Let me tell you why
that
the comparison
percentage versus the WNBA, the league's taking in.
Let me tell y'all.
Tension in the studio was evident when one co-host on First Take insisted that they bring in another woman to argue why WNBA players should be paid at NBA levels, sparking a fury that escalated to nuclear proportions. Before he shocked everyone with a financial reality bomb, you could almost see Stephen A. Smith's blood pressure increasing as he attempted to remain composed.
Hold on, Jen. I'm going to come to you. Let me tell y'all why y'all need to stop that. We're going to be honest on this show.
Why?
The fact of the matter is, stop comparing yourself to the NBA because the NBA makes exponentially more. So because it was a combination of two things. Number one is the money that they make. And number two is the position that you're in from a collective bargaining perspective to ask yourself how much credit do you...
The WNBA's product has been fantastic. It's been truly exceptional. The WNBA has stated for years that there are many things we were doing that were costing us money. So now that we're making a little bit of money, we're not going to be in a position to give you now. That's not an argument I'm buying. The WNBA players deserve their money. They need to go get it. But until they do, there will be a boil in your mouth. The female co-host pushed back, creating one of those first take moments where the studio is uncomfortable. Stephen showed the Women's Basketball League's financial structure, which the majority of casual viewers are totally ignorant of.
Product for the WNBA has been fabulous. It's been absolutely outstanding. I'm not trying to compromise or throw any shade on that whatsoever. But for years, what the WNBA has proclaimed is that there's a lot of things that we were doing that was losing us money. And so now that we're making a little bit of money, all of a sudden, we're not going to be in a position as of yet to give you that. That's not an argument I'm buying. The WNBA players deserve their dollars. They need to go and get it. But until you do, there's going to be more.
Now, even though they didn't negotiate that, they still receive 9.3% of all revenue generated by the league. The issue with that is that of the 100% of revenue generated by the WNBA, 42% goes to the NBA. They aren't their own organization like that. Instead, 15.8%, if I'm not mistaken, goes to individual investors who actually help the league survive during a difficult time. Did you realize that when you fill a bucket of water, nearly half of it drains through a permanent hole? When you purchase tickets to see the Aces or Liberty play, nearly half of that money doesn't stay within the women's league, and the situation gets worse. An additional 15% of earnings are given directly to private investors who support the league's operations. The math is cruel. When more than half of the water never reaches the crops, how can the field thrive when 57% of the total revenue made by women's basketball disappears before it can be used to pay players or expand the league?
Now, although they didn't negotiate that, they still get 9.3% of revenue of everything that comes into the league. But the problem with that is, out of the 100% of revenue that comes to the WNBA, 42% of that is shared with the NBA. They're not their own entity like that. They're really attached to the NBA. So 42% goes to the NBA, and then 15.8%, if I'm not mistaken, goes to individual investors that actually help the league survive as well during a tough time. It's just two entirely different situations.
In the men's league, players receive their share of money even if the league doesn't make a profit in a given year. This is in sharp contrast to the NBA's operations, where WNBA players are left to rely on whether the league can turn a profit. Although most clubs have excellent viewership averages of about 300,000, and arenas are filled for major games, Stephen Ackman recognized that more spectators do not always translate into financial success when the league system works against the very players that are making it popular. The co-hosts seemed genuinely surprised by these figures, processing this data visibly in real time because viewers saw someone face up to hard realities regarding a league they obviously love. This segment became compelling.
And although they have it set up to where if the team or the organization don't make a profit, they still get their share of the revenue, they're making a profit. So you can't really ignore that part. They made 11.4 or 11.3 billion last year in the positives, okay? Whereas to the WNBA lost 40 million. The league and the owners, they're gonna use this type of information against them to not give them certain things or give them exactly what they.
I do believe they will receive money, a raise, facilities, and more staff members, and they will receive better care. But they won't see everything they are requesting because comprehending this discussion necessitates realizing it's about the basic business structure of a league that is struggling for profitability despite growing popularity. Until the WNBA reworks its revenue-sharing model and achieves financial independence, players will continue to face this uphill battle for fair compensation.
I think they're going to get money. I think they're going to get a raise. I think they're going to see facilities and more staff members. I think they'll be taken care of better, but they're not going to see exactly everything that they're asking for.
As if the first take argument couldn't get any more intense, someone proposed that WNBA players should totally disregard the monetary losses in their future contract negotiations. Everyone on the panel found it difficult to react to this shocking suggestion. The female panelist boldly stated that players should only concentrate on ratings growth, attendance increases, and the league's growing cultural footprint rather than the unsettling balance sheets that keep league executives up at night.
First of all, Stephen A., money matters, and I totally understand that, but it's not everything when it comes to players' decision-making. And when you're talking about Notre Dame, why would they not be able to retain Olivia Miles? A lot of it is a basketball argument. She wants to go and be a primary option, and she can also make money elsewhere. So it's a two-part type of answer, not just, oh, they should be able to throw as much money and cash at her so she stays. That's not how.
In actuality, this tactic would involve WNBA players entering negotiation rooms with a straightforward message: we don't care if you're not making money. People are watching us play, so pay us more. Such an aggressive approach would undoubtedly cause anxiety in any business owner, particularly in a league that is still struggling financially. Imagine a response if players ignored the league's financial reality and sought NBA-level pay based only on rising popularity indicators. Team owners would probably point to balance sheets that showed large losses, resulting in an instant impasse.
In the league.
No, I'm saying, really, you've been a part of the negotiation where somebody just said to you, you're absolutely right, we think you deserve what you're asking for?
No. It's a give and take. We all know that. But what I'm saying is the argument saying that, revenue is a goal, but it's not the only thing. Like, there are what we used to call them are buckets. There are buckets where we try to help, players' well-being while they're playing. We've already seen advances when it comes to charters. We've already seen advances when it comes to facilities. So the standard keeps going up and up, but we're not just saying salary is the only thing that moves us forward.
If league executives refuse to raise salaries without matching revenue increases, players may feel that their only option is to quit playing altogether. A strike would immediately test how valuable the WNBA product has become to partners and fans who have only recently begun to pay more attention. This extreme negotiation strategy could potentially pave the way for the nuclear option.
I hope they don't strike. Janae, I hope you guys continue on this momentum. The last thing you guys need to do is not to strike and have this WNBA, because I'm afraid if they leave, they might not come back, Janae. So hopefully you guys can get something worked out.
I sincerely hope that they don't hit Chana. I hope you all keep up the momentum. The last thing you need to do is avoid striking and have this WNBA, because I'm worried that if they go, they might not return. I hope you can work something out with Shannon. Players should only think about taking such action if they have the power to compel significant change, Sharp advised, as he instantly interrupted with a sobering reality check that stunned the crowd. The risk of a failed strike goes beyond the immediate financial consequences and might irreversibly harm everything that women's basketball has been establishing. Sharp brought to light the harsh reality that current viewership numbers don't necessarily translate to the kind of leverage needed for a successful strike, while big matchups featuring the Aces and Liberty draw impressive crowds. A poorly executed work stoppage could alienate new fans just as they're discovering the league and scare away corporate sponsors who are finally taking notice. Since most teams are still struggling to grow their fan base, there is a complex dynamic where certain players stand to lose more than others.
Hopefully you guys can get something worked out.
Yeah.
I hope you guys can get something worked out that's satisfactory, because in the negotiations, Stephen, you know how this works, and you and I have been in a lot of them. Hey, everybody got to feel like they've been had. Right. Because if you don't, you're going to become resentful. If you feel that you've given up more, you're going to become resentful, and that's the last thing you want, considering that this deal's probably going to be, Shanae, I'm assuming, somewhere between 5 and 10 years, because you want that kind of prosperity and not have to worry about this every 2